Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. I know I'm a minute early. I'm a whole minute early. And I'm here to discuss Tim Burton's 2012 Dark Shadows with y'all. It is a very, very interesting decision. Some interesting decisions were made on this movie. This movie was written by Seth Graham Smith, obviously. He did write good movies, I assure you, but just this was not one of them, unfortunately. I wish it were. I really do, and I know you guys do too. Um, I'll get. Look, there's a lot to get to here. There's no shortage of things, so I'm going to start with the one thing that I want to get to right away. Back in 2000, because we're gonna get. Let's go back in time, shall we? In 2012, they had said they were setting this movie at the tail end of this series, but at the same time, they had said this movie wasn't canon to the series. And my thought to that was, okay, then why? Well, why set it to the series? Why are you setting it at the tail end of the series if you're not canon it to it? It made no sense. And it's still a decision that I feel makes no sense at all, even with their plot. It's like, okay, here's Dark Shadows as a series. Dark Shadows as a series has been, you started off with Victoria Winters. Barnabas didn't arrive till episode 211. We know what happened, the in between, the after, etc., etc. The movies themselves, as I mentioned in the House of Dark Shadows podcast last night with Patrick McRae, Butch Rosenbaum, and Melissa Gallagher, shout out to all three of them, that why, Gordon, why did they set it at the tail end of the series? Mostly because Tim Burton wanted an excuse to make another unnecessary remake of Edward Scissorhand, but using another franchise. Maybe. And that's the thing, too. Like, this is not the first time Tim Burton and Johnny Depp have teamed up. I mean, by this point in time, they've teamed up a bunch of times, usually to some success, but not this. And I think, you know, before I give heat to Seth Graham Smith, I got to give heat to Tim Burton. I mean, this was his decision, right, to do this movie, to him and Johnny Depp to come aboard. Sorry if you hear my kid in the background, but it's really interesting that you have two fans of the franchise and Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. I know people aren't going to like to hear that word, but they said they're fans. I'm not going to call them liars. I question not just Tim's, but Johnny's and really Warner Brothers' commitment to Dark Shadows. I really think that I can't just look. I've said this to you guys before. I'm not going to put all the heat on Johnny Depp. I am going to put some on Tim Burton, some on Seth Graham Smith, but I got to put some on Warner Brothers too. Let's go back even further before 2012 and honestly look at what was going on with Dark Shadows from Warner Brothers' standpoint. They attempted the '04 on-air pilot. They attempted some other things, a comic book. I know there have been comic books. I think they had attempted an animated thing, but it never went anywhere. So Warner Brothers really, I think, didn't know prior to this movie, didn't know what to do with Dark Shadows. Honestly, I don't think they knew what to do with it at all. I don't. I'm not going to sit here and say they didn't have a clue, but at the same time, I don't think they knew what to do with it. They looked at a series, at a product, and went, "What do we do?" I mean, there's a vampire. We know that. We could work with something there. And really, I think, because keep in mind, Johnny Depp was doing a bunch of pictures through Warner Brothers at the time, too. It wasn't just, I know Johnny Depp had been doing the Pirates of the Caribbean movies through Disney, but when when you didn't see him in Disney movies, you saw him in Warner Brothers movies, being Johnny Depp. Don Schmidt, you're right, Joel. There's enough blame to go around. There is. I don't think it's just one person's fault. I think there's a lot to blame here when you look at this movie. Now, I am going to get to the good things, but I'm going to get all the bad stuff out the way first. There are very few good things about the movie. I'm not going to just sit here and knock it, though. I know that's what it's going to sound like. Again, you have to excuse the singing in the background. But so that's my question to you guys. My first question, what was your expectation sort of going into the movie? I know what my expectation was. What's Did you have an expectation going into Tim Burton's Dark Shadows? That's my question to you guys so far. Because for me, my hope and expectation was, well, maybe they'll just do Barnabas's origin story first, which they did do in this movie. I think that's one of the things that I think they did pretty well. Other than the only thing I did not like really is because they did it so quick. This movie, it's funny. House of Dark Shadows and 2012's movie do have something in common. There's not much character development. The character development is very quick. They're not sitting there like 25 minutes sitting there explaining something to you. They're just not. Again, this is a movie. This is not a series. And again, to stress, the movies are not canon to the series. So, and what they do in the beginning, while I'm waiting for you guys to answer that question. And by the way, the question is, what was your expectation going into the movie? Don Schmidt, expectations were low, but wanted to keep an open mind. I was pleasantly surprised in parts. What parts were you surprised with? I think I know some of them. But for me, when you look at the past sequence, when you look into the past, you have this moment of Angelique tells Barnabas, she loves him. Tell me you love me. That's what she tells him. The one thing, Bebop, Krampus, it's hard to say what my expectations are. I'd say haunting, atmospheric, deep characters, and the first 5 minutes had that. Jennifer, I was expecting a series remake, not the horrible farce that we got. I don't think much about the plot or development. I thought the casting was very good. Yeah, the casting was very good. Gordon, I expected a humorous take on the show with wit and charm. What I got was, well, a really ill-conceited approach. Absolutely. So you have this moment where Barnabas tells her, if I would be telling you a lie if I told you I loved you. That's really interesting because you have Barnabas here who's being really honest with Angelique. And that's something I will give Johnny Depp throughout this movie. His character is nothing else but honest. Really about being a vampire, about he's not trying to hide it, is what I'm saying. This isn't what we're so used to from whether it's Fred's or the 91 revivals, Ben Cross's performance. They wanted to keep the secret from everybody, which is smart. Here you have a different approach, and I think that's one thing I noticed right away when I went back and watched this today again. Yes, I do. Yes, Gordon, humorous would have been fine, but whatever that was, but not whatever that was when they gave us. Gordon, Jennifer agreed. What they gave us, well, a farce, and not in a good way. No, it was not good. I will say that. Here's what I'll say about Johnny Depp's Barnabas. He was honest, and that's how Johnny Depp portrayed him. Now, He wasn't trying to hide the vampire secret. In fact, he's very pretty much open about it. He says about his hand would burst into flames if it was real silver. He told Julia Hoffman he was a vampire under hypnosis, which sort of made no sense. Don Schmidt, the beginning 10 minutes were good. That I agree with. The initial treatment of Angelique and sending the Collins family over time to the poorhouse was interesting. Yeah, interesting if you play it that way, the right way. And partially, it's funny. The first couple minutes, 12, I'd say first 13 minutes are pretty good. But then you get Barnabas out of the coffin and he murders the construction workers. Jennifer, I love the first 10 minutes also. It was great. Yeah, the first 10 minutes is really good. The beginning is really good. My only gripe is when Angelique kills off Barnabas's parents, Barnabas doesn't know who did it. And they don't really have him have this epiphany of who did it. Or actually Angelique flat out tells him who did it. It was her until near the end of the movie, and it's like, man, that's real late telling him that. I mean, you get the surprise feeling, which is good. Bebop Krampus, that is the one diversion from previous Barnabas. I didn't keep secrets, and secrets is a lot. In my opinion, what DS is about, and Barnabas embodies that. Yeah, Depp's Barnabas did not keep secrets. Gordon, I love the first 10 minutes as well, but sadly, there's more movie after that. The murder of the construction workers was awful, Don Schmidt. It was. It was. It was straight gore, Don. It was straight gore. Oh, sorry. It was straight gore. And it was I love how when he throws the one construction worker, the McDonald's sign flickers on. I'm like, oh my God, I see that sign enough with my kid. It's like, come on, you know. But you have this, he kills the construction workers, and then he meets our buddy Willie Loomis. Gordon, the whole Barnabas admits he's a vampire thread was the movie's biggest mistake. Barnabas is a fish out of water needing to survive. Despite his curse, the movie treats it was a wacky cork. Yeah, I agree. Him not him being honest was strange. It's something we had never. I guess that's one place to start. Really, Johnny Depp's Barnabas, the way he performs it, is far different than what Fred or Ben Cross ever did. And what is that good? Is that bad? It's sort of just for me. It's just weird. It was just weird. I mean, I never heard Barnabas really try to be honest about his affliction, about being a vampire. I mean, sure, we do get that in the series way later on where he's sitting there telling Professor Stokes the whole story about why, why things the way they are. But that's not till the end of the series. And Ben Cross, he never tries to tell anybody other. Julia finds out the way she did in the original series in a weird way. But with Ben Cross, he wasn't trying to post it on signs or tell anybody. What I find most interesting about Johnny Depp's is he's not trying to keep secrets, and it's weird. It's just weird. And when you go on, it's like, okay, if you're not trying to keep the secret of being a vampire, and he's out during the day and he's all in black, and I guess he's got sunblock on. I have no idea. He's got an umbrella over his head to block the sun out, which I don't know how that works, really. It really doesn't. I mean, you can still feel the sun's heat. Trust me, I've tried. Oh my God. But so you have this moment when Barnabas meets Willie, and he asks him what year it is, and he tells him it's the early 70s. He says what month it's October, where there's pumpkins. It's like, okay, so Barnabas is out of his coffin. He's killed the construction workers. He goes to meet Elizabeth. and the kids are in the hallway. We don't have really a greeting at the door the way we did in the series, in either of the series, which sort of feels like, really. I love Michelle Pfeiffer's character in this movie. I love her Elizabeth. Really, really good. Michelle Pfeiffer makes this movie watchable for me. So does really Eva Green. I mean, they both do a great job. What did you guys think of Michelle Pfeiffer and Eva Green in this movie? What were you guys' thoughts? Curious to know. I really think that her interaction with Depp is good, obviously, and they're going down when Johnny Depp's Barnabas opens up the secret room, and there's a rat that goes by her. She like jumps back. Krampus, Bebop Krampus. I liked some things about the movie. Jennifer, they were both very good. Yeah, I think that's the thing. They're not all of the movie is bad, but not all the movie's characters are bad either. Just a lot of, I mean, to me, Gordon, they were both good, but I wish both Pfeiffer and Green had more to do. Yeah, I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer's character is more following Johnny Depp's character around like a lost puppy, and then she's sort of sticking up for him with Julia, and they don't give her a ton to do. And there's some sort of her daughter has this strange sort of behavior even for a teenager. And you sort of wish there would have been a lot more interaction between mother and daughter than but there wasn't. There wasn't a ton. There was very Don Schmidt. I liked Michelle Pfeiffer. She has Elizabeth Strongcourt. Absolutely. Bebop Krampus. But I hated how they portrayed Willie. Jackie Earl Haley's Willie Loomis. I don't know. I sort of like Jackie Earl Haley's Willie Loomis. He has one of the, to me, he has my favorite line in this whole movie. But you have Michelle Pfeiffer and Johnny Depp, and Michelle Pfeiffer's character Elizabeth make this agreement. They make this deal that I will help you rebuild the Collins fortune, because he shows her all the money that's hidden away, all the jewels, and they start rebuilding the cannery. And this is where you also meet Angelique. The next scene, Angelique's driving through town. She's waving at people. The Hunchman, I hated how they portrayed Roger. It got worse as the movie went on. Yeah. Roger's somebody. Well, I know what my thoughts are, Roger. What did you guys think of Roger Collins, the 2012's Tim Burton's Roger Collins? What did you guys think of Roger? What was you guys' thoughts of Roger as a character? Do you guys think that they were trying to make him be more than one character? Gordon, the whole rebuild, the Collins fortune plot, is another misfire. They should be the rich people on the hill, not just another working family. Yeah, true. Agreed. Absolutely. They really should. And two, man, there's so much things to get to with this movie. Because I got a question for you guys. I'll get to that question. But what did you guys think of Roger? That's just it. The actor who played Roger is a good actor. I mean, that's the thing too. That's what gets me. It's like, it's really baffling how bad they screwed up the character. While you guys are answering that, for me, Roger Collins was interesting, and I liked Johnny Lee Miller's take. I only wish he crushed Frosted Glass Brandy. snifters in his hand more frequently. Bebop Crap Pants, sorry. Super disliked him in the movie. Wild I went wild about him in the series, but at least he had depth. So Johnny Lee Miller's Roger Collins is a very Jennifer. I thought Johnny Lee Miller had some of the mannerisms down. Yes, some of them, but the biggest problem for some of this movie too is a lot. Again, Gordon touched upon how Michelle Pfeiffer, they didn't give her much to do. Well, that's sort of the problem with this movie. They don't give a lot of people a lot of shit to do, and what they do is just like, well, really, you're really having them do this. Like every time Johnny Lee Miller opens his mouth, it's sort of like somewhat comedic and somewhat okay. And I think he had the body language of a Roger Collins. Don't get me wrong. Don Schmidt, he was awful. They lost me when he was going through the coats in the coat room during the party and getting all handsy on the coat check girl off the car. Yeah, I felt with Roger too. They were trying to combine a bunch of characters and make Roger sort of half Quentin, half Roger, and just half player. And it's like, don't get me wrong, Roger, when you watch the original series, Roger would be flirtatious, but not that flirtatious. And again, they don't give him a ton to do either. I mean, he's Burton, Gordon Burton's approach to Dark Shadows seems to be, look, it's the 1970s. It's tacky and wacky. Let's make fun of it. Yeah, I would agree. Don Schmidt, Gordon, exactly. And that's the thing, too. I think that's another reason they set this in the 70s so they can just make fun of it. But really, their jokes, I mean, fall flat, a lot of them. They're not funny. I mean, that's the thing with comedy. You're either funny or you're not. And if your timing's bad and if your jokes are bad, you're just not going to get a pop out of an audience. Even if it were live, I don't think anybody would laugh at the jokes they had in this movie. Jennifer agreed, Gordon. Yeah, Gordon has been a guest on this channel. Don has been a guest on this channel. They're going to continue to be guests on this channel. But if you're going to make Dark Shadows a comedy, then actually make it a comedy. If you really are going to take that route, and I'm not saying I would appreciate that decision, I wouldn't, but okay, would you rather set it in a comedy about Dark Shadows in the 1970s or in modern day where, in 2012, that's the year you're filming this movie, so set it in the modern times. Barnabas Collins isn't going to know what a cell phone is. He's not going to know what the internet is. It wasn't around during his time, and especially not at the level it's at now. So him not knowing how a computer would work, him not knowing what Twitter is, him not knowing what Facebook is, that shit would be funny. Him throwing his computer would be funny. A vampire on the internet. Instead of going out and getting girls, he's getting them to come to him through online. He starts figuring out. But they don't do this even. And that's what gets me, because they said it in the 70s. It's like, dude, the 70s, look, I watched the original Dark Shadows, but I wasn't alive during the 70s. Gordon, if you were to make a DS comedy, you need to make it witty, not slapstick. Yeah, I would agree. That's the thing. Like, you have to be funny. You have to have. This isn't making a comedy about a horror franchise. Look, Dark Shadows isn't the first to try to even attempt this, but I mean, you had these two people named Abbott and Costello who did comedy and horror. But at the same time, when you have a movie like this movie like Tim Burton's Dark Shadows, and they're trying to be funny and they're not being funny at all, it's really like eye rolling and just painful to watch. Are there performances that sort of bring it back? Yeah, I said Michelle Pfeiffer. I said Eva Green. By the way, Eva Green is playing Lady De Winter in the Three Musketeers remake, and I've seen the trailer, and it looks good, really good. Um, I think Eva Green steals this movie, and it's not hard to steal this movie from Johnny Depp, unfortunately. Um, she really, really did a great job being this, trying to be a villain. I mean, trying to be a heel. I mean, she came off heelish, she came off arrogant, she came off cocky. That's what you want a heel to be. And, but here's Barnabas doing all this yelling, and she just dismisses him. But again, there's no real stakes here, too. He's not trying hard enough to make her pay for what she did or figure out a way to make her pay. His option is I'll rebuild the cannery, and it's like okay, that's nice, but it's just not the greatest thing idea to do. So here's my question for you guys: if you could have gone back and did this movie, what would you have done? If you could have wrote this movie, what would you have done? Don Schmidt, the mass killing of the hippies was also painful, disturbing, and cruel. Did Tim Burton think that was clever, funny, epic fail? Hashtag epic fail. Well, here's the thing about that, though, too. Some of this movie, now, the killing of the hippies isn't in the book. I want to stress this. But some of this movie is taken from Laura Parker's Dark Shadows of Salem branch. There are hippies in Dark Shadows of Salem branch. Now, Barnabas does not kill them in the book. They get arrested by the cops. And the McDonald's thing that you see, Jennifer, yeah, it was on. And the McDonald's thing you see, the McDonald's sign, David is given a box of McDonald's French fries by one of the hippies in Laura Parker's book. The real crime here too is that the book is so much better than the movie. If I would have been, I'd have given Laura Parker the script and said, "Here, write a better movie than what we have, please." Bebop Critic. So thinking about it now, it seems like one of the movies fails where the series succeeded. Is the movie pretty much wiped out all subtext? Fred and honestly, the rest of the cast were so good at. Yeah. Gordon, my DS movie would focus on how a conservative, upright family deals with their odd cousin from England, make the vampirism serious enough to scare, plus no Helena Bonham Carter, Bebop Krampus, playing characters that had secrets and a personal history beyond the lines spoken. Yep. Jennifer, honestly, this movie disappointed me. Only seen it twice. You guys are jogging my memory. That's what we're here for, Jennifer. That's what we're here for. Now, my favorite line in this movie is from Willie Loomis. It's from Jack Earl Haley's Willie Loomis. When they kill Helen Bohem's Carter's cousin, Gordon, Jennifer, I've only seen it once. I blotted out most of it. Heavy drinking helped. Gordon, buddy, you don't need to do that, bud. But hey, I hear you. I hear you. Now, you have Jackie Earle Haley. They kill Helen Bohem's Carter's character Gordon. I drank during some of the movie. Don Schmidt. Were you guys drinking the wine or the beer? I gotta know. I don't drink, so they kill off Helen Bohem's Carter. Dawn did You crushed the glass you drank out of, Roger Collins style. Joel, I did like Willie. I did like Willie too. I liked Willie Loomis's line. Jackie Earle Haley, it's again another character who's wasted because you don't get much time with him. But his line about Helen Boham's character's Dr. Julie Hoffman, when Barnabas says it, Willie, if you tell anybody I killed her, you know, and Willie's like, oh, Barnabas, I didn't like that bitch anyway. I rolled laughing. It was funny. That was the most funniest line in the whole movie. And Jackie Earle Haley just nails it, like snapping of his fingers. I really liked his Willie Loomis. You just don't get a lot of time with him. It's a shame. Gordon, I'll admit, Jackie Earle Haley was a good Willie. Easily his best role since the Bad News Bears in the 1970s. Don Schmidt, Joel, Susie, and I watched it at the same time. Both of us were drinking wine. Yes! Oh my God, I love it. I love it. So, for me, what I would do for this movie, I've told you guys, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating this or you're hearing this for the umpth time. I would take this to 1795 and you would get Barnabas marrying Josette, Joshua. Alice Cooper would have played Dr. Joshua Collins. And there would have been a love triangle, obviously, like in the series. Angelique is jealous. She curses Barnabas. People start dying. And it's because Barnabas has to feed. Barnabas cannot help himself. He has to constantly need blood. So he even kills some of his family. The biggest heartbreak is that he would bite Sarah. You know, and he couldn't control it. And here's Alice Cooper's Dr. Joshua Collins. He's faced with the decision: do I try to cure my son or do I kill him? And he tries to cure him, but nothing helps. Nothing does it. And he goes to kill him, but he can't do it. So he chains him up and prays no one will find him where he's hidden. And he hides him in a secret mausoleum. Only difference is the mausoleum's underneath the ground. But now we didn't get the movie we wanted, obviously, which sucks. I still feel Dark Shadows can be a franchise movie. I'd like to think it'll happen one day. I know a series is being worked on. I know, we're possibly going to get a new series, which is great. A sequel series, which is awesome. This movie, some of its best moments are its sets. Its set designs are really good. I will give the set designers a lot of credit in this movie. The town looked good. The bottom of Widow's Hill looked good. I love the effect they pulled off there. The house sort of looks like a bit like a school, a bit more than a house. I don't love how the house looks at times, especially during the day and night. The house looks like the most fake part of the whole movie, which I hated. That's the one thing I didn't like. Now, the inside of the house looked good. The outside of the house looked bad. Don Schmidt set design was good. Yep. The house looked like a little too much like a movie set. Yeah, I agree. I think, especially the outside, it looked too fake. It looked too much like a movie. I agree with you. It looked too much like a movie set, Gordon. But the inside looked pretty good, though. Like the upstairs and the living room and then the dining room. That looked pretty good, but I sort of wonder if maybe they could have shot it a different way to make it look good, but I don't even think that would have helped on the outside. I just think that they should have at least built a better house. Look, I'll give a great example. I loved the Monsters house in Rob Zombie's The Monsters. It looked great. It did not look like a house that was just built. Don Schmidt. It was awesome that Willie was driving a 57 Chevy station wagon. Yes. Yeah. You know what would have been cool is if Willie stole Angelique's car. that's that's his reward for serving Barnabas. He gets to steal Angelique's car. Oh shit. But Don Schmidt, yes. Yeah. Gordon, why do I see the movies Roger and Willie drinking around and fighting crime and calling sport like Batman and Robin? Yeah. Yes. I love that, Gordon. I could see it too. Here's Willie Loomis. He's behind the wheel. Here's Roger. He's drinking. We got to go. Somebody's been murdered. We got to go solve some crime. Gordon, that should be driving around. Sorry. Yeah, driving around. Yep. Don Schmidt agreed, Gordon. That would be funny, though. That would be really cool to watch. Another thing about this movie I like, and it's no shock, Danny Elfman's score is really, really good. And I mean, it's not a surprise. I mean, it's Danny goddamn Elfman. He's gonna put together a great score. But thank God he did not phone it in like Tim Burton and Johnny Depp did. I do think that's the biggest part of the problem too. And Seth Grahame-Smith's script just isn't good. And then really, if you're trying to be a comedy, it's not funny either. I know. Look, to the fans of this movie, God bless you. I'm glad you have a movie like. I would never knock a fan, ever. You have every right to like the movie that you like, and again, there are pluses about the movie: the sets, the score. Now, which characters really grabbed me in this movie? One, Michelle Pfeiffer, though, again, she doesn't have a lot to do. Two, Eva Green's Angelique really just takes over this movie at times. But again, she's not in every scene, though, either. She's in a good bit, but she's not in every scene. And I liked Jackie Earle's performance as Willie Loomis. I actually like Jackie Earle's Haley's Freddy Krueger, too. I mean, I know I'm going to get crucified for that one. Gordon, Seth Grahame-Smith is good at coming up with the interesting concepts, but poor at execution. Writing Pride and Prejudice and Zombies doesn't qualify you for Dark Shadows. I would agree. And here's my question, if anybody knows this. Why did they really scrap the first script because of Twilight? Because it was too much like Twilight? I mean, because that's just weird. It's like, for everything I've heard about it doesn't really sound too much like Twilight. Jennifer, yes, I had a coworker who was a first generation fan who loved it. To each their own. I don't mind if someone likes it. I'm thankful for discussions like this. Thank you, Jennifer. Don Schmidt, I thought the portrayal of Julia Hoffman pissed me off. I thought it was totally misogynic. It was an insult to the character and to Grayson Hall. I just think they did not know how to use certain characters. And again, a lot of the characters have great development in this movie. Though, here's where I'll defend a movie a bit, and I'm not specifically just defending this one. We just discussed House of Dark Shadows last night, and Butch brought this up. This House of Dark Shadows is very fast. In a way, so is this movie. Don, Helen Bohem Carter did a poor job, agreed. Grayson Hall, and I hate Carter's dollar store, Helen Lancaster writing style. They don't develop the characters a lot in this movie. David's not really that much developed. I mean, there's not much of a David can see ghosts, but they only mention it a couple times in the movie, And Carolyn's werewolf turn is out of nowhere. And again, the character development is so poor. Jennifer, I thought they all looked the part, but there wasn't a lot of substance there except for Elizabeth. Yeah, I would agree. And that's the thing too, like for actors to get very little development, and you have to work with what you work with. Look, for example, David isn't given a ton of time on screen, and when he is, he watches his dad walk away, which is a heartbreaking moment for him, and then he runs away, and then later he's pulling Angelique's panties off Barnabas's face. It's like, really, really, come on. I hated the werewolf turn. Yeah, me too. Bebop crab pants. Totally agree. My least favorite part was the portrayal of Julia. Jennifer, I was thinking that too, Gordon. Gordon, I didn't realize that David was in this movie. What does that say about me? And what does that say about the movie? Yeah. Yeah. Again, though, too, like you said, Gordon, like a lot of characters have very little development. Well, David's one of them, and I think that's why David's forgettable in this movie too. His character just isn't very well developed, and again, there's not a lot of time given to each character. That's why you see very little of Lily. You see very little of David. Elizabeth is here or there. Again, Angelique is here or there. Even the most person who's in the movie is Barnabas, is Johnny Depp. And it's just like, dude, what are you doing? But Gordon, if I ever made a DS movie, John Noble would play Professor Stokes. And yes, that is a hill I would die on. Yeah. But yeah, the question I asked earlier was, what kind of Dark Shadows movie would you guys and gals like to make or see? Thank you for everybody who answered so far. Again, I love the score of this movie. Freaking, oh my God. It's one of the best scores in all the three films. I'm not saying to me, it's right beneath Night of Dark Shadows. And it's really good. I mean, look, I know the composer's great, and I know that sounds so simple, but it's not like he sat there and knew they were going to do a bad movie. He composed the hell out of that movie, and he did a great job. I think that's one of the two best things about this movie are the sets, the score, Michelle Pfeiffer and Eva Green. Those to me are the four best things about this movie. Outside of that, it's like all downhill. And really too, Jennifer, I do remember the score being great. Yeah, the score is great. I'll leave a link to it because the score is on YouTube. I'll leave a link to it. It is really good. Danny Elfman did a hell of a job. And I know it's Danny Elfman. It's not hard for him to do, but still, he did a great job, and I'm not going to take it away from him just because the movie's bad. You'll see that bad movies with really great scores. Tim Burton's Dark Shadows is not the only movie with it. That's the thing too. Do you guys think Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, the team up, maybe had the magic had worn off even before Dark Shadows? Gordon, and the original cast cameos enjoyable, but only if you slow down the movie enough to watch them frame by frame. Yeah, it's their cameo is so quick. I mean, I get it's a cameo, but man, them coming through the door, Jonathan, Catherine, David Selby, Laura Parker. And then you see Catherine and Laura and David. You don't see Jonathan too much. I think he had gotten. I heard he got, but look, I do wish this would have been a better movie, and it's really unfortunate that this movie wasn't better. It's unfortunate that it was poorly written, but again, Don Schmidt, I think the preface of the new movie would show Warner Brothers executive Tim Burton, Johnny Depp, and the screenwriter getting pushed off Widow's Hill by the widow's show. The widow's laughing. Gordon, I think the only time Depp and Burton had magic was Edward Scissorhands. The other movies were self-indulgent, misguided, and just plain worthless. Don Schmidt, that's a cleansing we could all agree on. Yeah, it is. Jennifer, to think they flew poor Jonathan Fred to England for the inferior cameo, it makes me sad. Yeah. Bebop Crap Pants Dark Shadows should be the first epic horror movie, like 3 movies, each 2 hours long, freaking epic, a LOTR of horror, something they would integrate all genres of horror into one thing. Gordon, Mark B. Perry, make Don's suggestion happen. Yeah. Put that in the sequel series. Right? Gordon, Jennifer, and Fred wasn't in the best of health. Yeah, that's true. That's just deplorable. Don Schmidt, Jennifer, it was sad. Yeah, Jonathan Fred was not. Actually, he died before the movie came out. Jonathan did. Jonathan passed away before the movie came out, which is sad. I mean, so he wasn't in the best of health. He was at what, over 80 years old. So it is their cameos. It was great seeing them, but you sort of do wish they would have gotten more. They damn well deserved more. That's for sure. I mean, they really did. There's no question of that. I'm trying to think of what else I could ask you guys. Here's my question too with this movie, and it's really the final question I have. What's something with the cast they had? I know there's a lot of things you could change, but what's something you could have definitively changed for this movie to make it better? Gordon, also the actors who played Carolyn looked way too young. Yeah, she was too. I know who you're talking about too, Gordon. She was very young. I believe she had just let's see how I believe the girl was just 16. Was like only 16 years old. The actress playing her. She's very, very young. I know she doesn't look 16, but I believe she was 16, but she was at least 16 by the time the movie got done. I know that. Jennifer, yes, she looked about 14. Yeah, she looks young. I mean, she looks very young. Gordon, how would I improve the DS movie? Rewrite the script and fire Burton. Nice. Don Schmidt, tough question, Joel. Here's what I would do. I would rewrite the script for sure. It would, again, take this back to 1795. Would I keep Johnny Depp as Barnabas? Well, he wouldn't be playing the Barnabas he played in this movie, that's for sure. So I guess I would keep Johnny if I were redoing this movie, but in a different way. I would not keep Tim Burton. I damn sure would not keep Seth Grahame-Smith. Get the hell out of here. I'm glad Tim Burton did not mess up Wednesday. That looks pretty good. I've seen a lot of it. Oh God. Don Schmidt, yes, 1795, and have a costume drama sequence or costume drama sequence. Yeah, yeah. I think again, there's a lot of things you could do to improve a movie. Um, and again, this movie again has had a lot of its issues. Now, to everybody who likes the movie, first of all, I'm glad you like. If there's people, I know there's people out there who like the movie. You are more than welcome to like the movie. Nobody, and I want to stress this: nobody should make fun of a fan for liking a movie. Look, I love Halloween Resurrection, and I know how it feels. So, but because I know there are people who just hate that movie for whatever reason. Um, Gordon, another thing I would do have Patrick McRae pop up in the middle of the film, look at the camera, and say, "Judah Zachary's not in this movie." Joel, LOL. No, no fan shaming. Agree, Don Schmidt. Yeah, no fan shaming. There should never be fan shaming. That's something I don't agree with. Look, just because I don't like this movie doesn't mean I don't appreciate its fans. Because its fans, not only yeah, they like this movie, but they went back and watched the original and they love it too. And this movie, despite its flaws, did bring new fans to the franchise. That's the one thing you can give it, despite Jennifer Gore. She's laughing. Oh God. That's the one thing it did do. It brought new fans to the franchise. Gals, is there anything you'd like to add? I will read your statements, questions. Jennifer, yes, any attention is good, even in this case. Yeah, I agree too. That's the thing. Like, franchises always need what? New blood, new fans. Jennifer, yes, okay, sorry, I already read that. But that's the thing. The more fan base Dark Shadows can get, the better off it'll be. You always want a new, fresh set of fans. You always want new blood. Look, none of us are going to live forever. Okay, tomorrow is not guaranteed. We all know this. So new fans is always something any franchise can use, and that's the one thing we should all walk away knowing, and we do know. So, all right, I'm not seeing any more questions. I'll give it a little more time. And I'll wrap this up. First of all, for those who are still in the chat, thank you everybody for participating. Gordon, I would make a steampunk horror Dark Shadows movie set in 1897, maybe throw in Sherlock Holmes, but that's just my jam. I like that, Gordon. Don Schmidt, I hated that Collinwood was burning down at the end. The house is the main character of the franchise. Hello. Yeah, but here's the thing, though, too. Judah Zachary wrecked Collinwood first in the series, and that is something I was shocked by. 1995 is my favorite arc, and because it's 9 episodes of pure terror. But yeah, they do burn down. They set the house ablaze in this movie. I mean, again, it's just another element of the movie a lot of people aren't going to like, and the fact that they have the fight sequence at the house was just weird to me. It could have been done anywhere. I mean, literally. I mean, I guess the point of having it at the house is that, hey, it's in the Collins' home, and they're in a sense telling her to get the hell out, leave here and leave town. But still, I mean, it's again, I didn't love the werewolf turn. Yeah, the girl who played Carolyn was very young, though. I already touched upon it. All right. Jennifer, thank you. Don Schmidt, thank you. Bebop Crab Pants, thank you. Gordon, thank you. I think I thanked Gordon. I want to thank everybody who joined me. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on here and talking 2012's Tim Burton's Dark Shadows with me. Or Don Schmidt, thanks. Joel. You are more than welcome, guys and gals. I love coming on here and chatting with you. Gordon, thanks. Joel. Guys, gals, enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. I got to get off here. Jennifer, thanks for everything. Going to watch Looker now. Yes! Yes, Jennifer. Jennifer, go watch Looker. It is a great movie. Great movie. A lot of fun. I love that movie. And again, I had never seen it until Melissa said about it. So when I really liked it. I think you'll enjoy it, Jennifer. It really, and here's the thing. For a PG movie, it has some very graphic stuff. Has some nudity too. All right, guys, gals, thank you all so very much for joining me. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. I know it's Sunday. Tomorrow's President's Day. Thank you. Good. God bless you, and good night.